Hello party members and welcome back to my channel. Now, in case you live under a complete rock, you may have noticed that Christmas last year, Disney Plus released a series called Hawkeye, which featured one of my most favourite things in the world, LARPers. As well as a Hawkeye. He's my favourite Avenger, I promise. Yeah. So for this Christmas, I am going to be reacting to the wonderful LARPer scenes in the series Hawkeye, and we can have a look to see how well and how accurate Disney have chosen to portray this wonderful hobby of ours. Okay, so first things first, he's clearly tracked these LARPers down on social media, which seems about right to me. Social media is easily the quickest and simplest way to find a LARP if that's what you're looking for in life. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, most games have at least one, if not all, of these social media platforms to advertise their games. So it's not surprising to me that he's looked them up online. I do also love that they appear to be playing on a pathway in the middle of Central Park. Most games I go to tend to be held in things like campsites or, you know, private buildings. Pretty much anywhere where you can, hide away from the general view of the public. And it's not because necessarily we're embarrassed by this hobby, but it's more along the lines that we are aware it's not a conventional one, and that makes people kind of curious, which puts you off roleplay, especially when those people are curious enough to hurl abuse at you or just be rather rude in general. We get it. We're nerds. You don't need to remind us constantly. We're aware of ourselves. So yeah, huge props to these people who are willing to be LARPing on a public pathway in the middle of Central Park. Good on them.
There you are.
Hey, there's no looky-loos.
I'm not trying to cause any trouble here. I just want to talk to that guy, that ninja right there. Stole that suit. So, I'd like to talk to him.
I love that she says no looky-loos when, again, they're on a public pathway. You can see people like walking past in regular coats and stuff or heading off. Clearly they are having a leisurely stroll. So I'm quite surprised that she's just like, yeah, you can't just look in. Like, there's no walls or fences or anything. There's nothing to stop people looking in at all. But hey, it's nice to know that she's at least trying to maintain some form of privacy for her players. Okay, so one thing I just want to bring up because I am quite pleased with this. This wonderful person who has stolen the suit is standing behind a weapons check sign. Weapons checks are pretty much at any LARP you're going to go to where there's combat. And that is purely because shockingly, we want you to be safe and we don't want you to get injured, and therefore we have to check your weapons to make sure that they are appropriate for LARP, that they're not damaged, and like I said, they're not going to hurt anybody. Most games that you go to have standards for what they expect their weapons to be like. These do vary from game to game depending on people's personal levels of safety, and it is fine to have some variations, but you do get people who do not quite understand the concept of LARP safety. And you hear some horror stories. One of my favourite ones I ever heard was of a group of people who came to a LARP event with a real sword made of steel that they had brought for fighting, and they had just covered the blade with duct tape so people could not see it was steel. Now let me be clear, we fight with foam weaponry, like weapons made out of the same foam you get in furniture, because the idea is you hit people with it and it doesn't hurt. You don't hit people with steel at LARP. You might do it in reenactment if you know how to do it in a safe way, and reenactors do train much better than we do, and quite, you know, regimentedly, I believe. But we tend to be a bit more, you know, heavy-handed with it, shall we say. So, don't get me wrong, you're supposed to pull blows, but I can go that into a LARP safety video another time. But yeah, they're made out of foam. So we want people to be safe. So it's just nice to know that see that they've included this whole little sign just saying, you know, weapons check. I appreciate that greatly.
Well, you can take that up with him when the LARP is over. The live action role plays, you know, this whole thing.
When is it over?
Midnight.
Yeah, that's not gonna work. It's just gonna take a couple.
Hey.
So yeah, the game's ending at midnight. All right, that seems pretty legit. I don't think anyone's going to be camping in the snow-covered woods. People do though. There have been LARPs where people camp for an entire weekend. It snows and people just LARP in the snow. That's perfectly normal. Not ideal, but New York is colder in the winter than it is in the UK. So yeah, I get that. Most LARPs I've been to usually tend to finish quite late at night. People either start in the day and then go all the way through, or they start in the evening, goes to midnight. Some games, if they're going over several days, don't time out at all until the very last day. And sometimes you're playing on a 24-hour timing. So yeah, ends at midnight. Sounds about right. Looks cold though, and it seems like it's going to be a long day, so I hope there's at least some decent food.
That's not gonna work. It's just gonna take a couple.
Hey. Look, I know who you are, but most of those folks out there are firefighters and cops. And if you break the rules, it's gonna get real messy.
So yeah, that is true. LARPers can come from a wide variety of professions, including firefighters and police officers. So, but yeah, you can find people of all walks of life going to LARP. I know people who range from police officers, military personnel, bus drivers, university lecturers, civil servants, doctors, nurses. Oh, what else? Park rangers, people who work in retail, stay-at-home mums, stay-at-home dads. Oh, the list goes on and on. You will find LARPers in every aspect of life. It's great for making connections for work, by the way. If you're ever looking to connect with somebody in a professional capacity, try a LARP. You'll be surprised how many people you'll find who can help you advance your career in whatever field you are trying to get into.
Oh, yeah, no thank you.
Email?
That's classified.
Title, organization?
Yeah. Let me just sign it. And, we'll get this.
Okay, so I'm just stopping it here because I want to draw attention to the sign behind it. I love that they've put this in because there are often things that are banned from LARPs. Most LARPs I go to tend to have drugs banned for obvious legal reasons. This one's banned to alcohol as well. I'm presuming that's probably to do with some form of American alcohol law that I'm perhaps not aware of. If you know what it is, please put it in the chat. Or maybe it's just Disney reinforcing the fact that they don't approve of people drinking booze. Alcohol's allowed at LARPs that I generally go to. Obviously, only people of legal drinking age can have it. But, you know, it's not forbidden. But I do like that they've got this, because there are things you're not supposed to bring in LARP. So it's just, you know, one of these little details that, you know, just to go, yeah, we've looked up some actual LARP rules. And we've got things like weapons check and things that people aren't allowed to bring on site. So, yeah, this is good. I'm enjoying the authenticity thus far.
So, your scroll details your character's mission.
Right.
Beginners only get one free hit. If you get hit in the torso, it's fatal.
Oh, so violent.
Just watch what other people are doing and have fun.
Okay, two things. Just to add to my previous point, the other sign behind her also says that this game is 14 up, which is probably why there's no alcohol. So, hey, I do finally see things. So I love that this game has stats. Not all games do. You get games that are more freeform, so people don't have stats and it's based on, you know, hard roleplay skills, which is fair enough. Or you could have ones which have stats and character points, which are a little bit more rules heavy. And for reference, neither one is the wrong way to LARP. Everyone's got their own preferences, but frankly, there's no right or wrong way to build a LARP. It's basically what everyone's personal, you know, likes and dislikes are. So it's nice to know that it's nice to just see that they've gone in with, right, you get 1 hit point because you're new. I'm presuming that if you've been around for a while, then you get more, which is also something you tend to see in LARPs that run on a regular basis. The look on her face really says she doesn't think he's going to enjoy this, which is a shame because, you know, this is fun.
What do you do with this?
That's what you live by.
Okay, just to catch up with this one as well. So clearly he's been given a character brief of some kind. Whether you get a character brief for a LARP you're going to depends on a lot of things. Depends on how big the game you're going to is, because let's face it, if there's 2,000 to 3,000 players, the staff are not going to have time to write a character brief for all of you. But, you know, if there's, you know, between 30 or 40, then, you know, that's a pretty sort of simple thing. I've been to a few games where I've gotten character briefs. It's a good starting point for a piece of plot. So go, okay, well, my character wants to, you know, try and end the world. Okay, well, I can try and do that this way. You don't have to follow them necessarily. I love that they go, it's what you live by. It's like, I've never been to a LARP where they insist that you've, you know, embraced the plot point they've written for you. But, you know, it's nice that they've provided with one for... It's good for first-time LARPers who maybe don't know quite what they're doing. It gives them sort of, you know, an aim to try and achieve. Every LARPer fancies themselves some form of stunt fighter. It's great. We like these big sort of, it's called heroic fighting. You'll hear it as most likely. It's basically like, if you were in a movie and you were fighting somebody, how would it look to an outsider? And then people try to emulate it with sort of very slow motion kind of movements, which they're clearly doing here and are very fun to do. So yeah, it's kind of, it looks a bit goofy, but it adds to the drama of it all, so it's fine. What I've just noticed, which I didn't notice the first time I watched this, the damage marks his armor has are clearly drawn on with some form of permanent marker, which I find hilarious. Just because if you want to weather or like pre-damage armor to give it a worn look, you can do it without a felt tip pen of some kind. It doesn't take too much effort and it looks a lot better, and doing it with a Sharpie or something just makes it look more goofy, and I don't appreciate that. If anything, just because the armor everybody else is wearing is really cool. So it kind of looks like, and I suspect this is what it's trying to say, is that this armor has been kind of donated by someone who made it before and no longer wants it because it's not as cool as the armor they've got. Which does happen. We do, when we get cooler looking armor, we tend to get rid of the old stuff and donate it to people who are getting into the hobby, or, you know, put it into event kits so it can be lent out to other people. Yeah, it seems normal, but it's just, I find the, you know, the permanent marker Sharpie bit just, I just find that funny.
Whoa, I'm a Viking. I'm really a Viking.
I don't care.
Oh, that was great. Just so sorry, I just thought it was great. He's clearly seeing someone coming who's gonna absolutely kick his ass, and it's just like, whoa, I'm actually on your side. It's like, I don't care. Yeah, to be honest, even if I was in this and I was on the like Viking side, at that point I wouldn't care either. Just like, stuff you, man. I'm just gonna knock you down. Oh, but someone who doesn't care, he doesn't look like he's enjoying himself quite a lot with those sort of dramatic I'm presuming that's, you know, his shield training coming in and the superhero-ness of it all, making him look dramatic as he walks across the battlefield, even if it is a blatantly fake battlefield.
Now, you must drink the ritualistic potion. It is a bottle.
No, I'm good, thank you. Can we please, let's get on with this.
Well, you're not going to reap the benefits.
Okay, so this is a thing. When you're at a LARP, and this is sort of other role-playing elements that you kind of sort of see. When there's an item that isn't physically present for whatever reason, like you couldn't get a phys rep for or something, it's usually perfectly adequate that someone describes it to you, you know. You've seen, one of my favourite ones ever was I was at a LARP and the players had gone into a tunnel and one of the referees appeared at the other end of the tunnel and literally just shouted, "I am a boulder the width of the tunnel," and ran down at them. At which point they had to run away because it was all sort of, you know, Indiana Jones, I'm going to be crushed by a giant boulder style. But you can't phys rep a boulder, but not without possibly seriously injuring someone. So that's fair enough. I mean, come on, they're in the middle of New York. Those tents behind them cost thousands of pounds, by the way. And some of these weapons cost a pretty penny as well. Are you really telling me that they couldn't buy a bottle phys rep? Like, seriously, like a perfume bottle with like, you know, the label taken off or something would do perfectly fine. You can get like cheap little bottle phys reps for potions for like a couple of quid online. So either Disney somehow could not source a bottle, or they just wanted to throw this in just to make it look a little bit more goofy, which I do not appreciate. Bottles are easy to get hold of. This one I'm going to put down on you, Disney. Shame on you. You could have easily have supplied them with an appropriate prop. Okay, and no LARP I have been to in the entirety of the 10 and a bit years I have been LARPing have I ever heard anyone make that noise. Nobody needs to hear the cling, cling, cling of a LARP weapon. Not me, not the audience, and definitely not the fighters. No, it's not adding anything. Because at the end of the day, you're in a fight. You're not going to be able to even really hear it over all the people around you shouting it for, you know, whichever one of you they want to win. I don't know, I think it just makes the whole thing look a bit silly. And don't get me wrong, like, this isn't like the most elegant hobby. We're aware that we all kind of look a bit silly, but you don't have to add to it. And that's not really fair. So no, I'm going to put that as a no as well, Disney. He looks so worried. Don't worry, we don't actually burn your corpse. But however, if you do ever get to attend your own funeral at a LARP, do so. It's an interesting experience. Some people like to really make a big deal out of it as well. I've seen LARP funerals where people got carried away on shields on the shoulders of people. Like I died at one LARP and I got some very touching eulogies given at mine, which I thought was wonderful, considering most of them had only known me an event and a half at that time. So it was very kind of them to make such a big deal over my death. But they don't actually burn the corpse. To be honest, you don't even have to go to your own funeral if you don't want to. Most people tend to just go off, have a drink, mourn their character, and come back in as somebody new. But if, you know, the opportunity arrives, do go. It's usually quite interesting. Warning though, if your character was not nice, there may just be tumbleweed if no one's got anything nice to say about you. So pick your moments.
Noble Nur of Vestland, thank you. I shall be regaling my countrymen with this tale for many years to come.
You can call me Clint.
I could call you Clint?
So yeah, just finalising it off. There are regular people just walking along the path, so I don't know why she said they still don't know why she said there couldn't be any looky-loos when there's clearly people just around. But fair enough. I love that there's a camp chair. Any LARP that's outside, you get all these beautiful cut chairs, like, you know, made out of wood and stuff, but there's always going to be a camp chair that someone's going to cover with a blanket. Because they're comfy. They're comfy, and sometimes you just need a comfy seat to sit in. But I like that they've thrown that in rather than get some, you know, someone's carved wooden chair. You know, it's just a nice little touch.
You could also take this to the front desk.
Yeah.
Can't have that show up on my credit card.
No, they will charge you.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, thank you. I owe you one. Like, this has been like the best day of my life.
I can't say the same.
I mean, come on. You did have fun, right?
Glad I did it. Merry Christmas.
You too.
Well, I'm glad he says he had fun, even if it didn't always look like it at the time. Yeah, so that's LARP. Probably not the worst portrayal of LARP I've ever seen in media. Slightly exaggerated in places, I think, to emphasise the nerdiness of it all. But, you know, I do love how great all the costumes were for, like, the extras as well as all the actual actors in it. There are quite a few portrayals of LARP where the costumes are kind of, you know, cheap tabards that kind of been sewn together in a hurry, and that's fine. Some people do wear those, but it is really nice to see some really great quality kit because those do exist at LARP. It's a big industry of leather makers and armor makers and weapons makers, and people go into some like beautiful work, and some of it's very intricate. So it is nice just to sort of see that representation of some, you know, good quality LARP crafting. So, yeah. Yeah, so all in all, I thought this was half decent. Not the worst portrayal of LARP I've ever seen. Like I said, still a bit goofy in places. But ultimately, it portrayed it as being fun. Which LARP is 100%. So, I'm going to give this, like, a good 7 out of 10, I think, for portrayal of LARP in media. I love Hawkeye. I love the series. I love that the LARPers reoccur in some other episodes, including the person who makes the armor, which is incredible. Yeah. So this is my react to Hawkeye. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you are all doing well, and I hope to see you on a battlefield soon. Bye.